And we're back here at the main event here on Friday. You got me, your humble host, Stephen McCollum. You've got 17-year NFL veteran, ex-Dallas Cowboy. Well, once a Cowboy, always a Cowboy. Dale Hellestrae.
Boy,
and then
look at that game face.
Yeah, I know. Here on this Friday, instead of Thursday this week, Uncle Lou.
Doesn't
the
leave
man,
the house, huh?
The myth, the legend, Uncle Lou, folks, from VSIN Gamblu.com. Lou, how you doing, man?
I'm a man in Vegas. I'm a legend in my own mind, and I'm a myth at home.
You just don't leave the house on Fridays, Lou. That's your standard operating procedure?
Outside of walking the dogs and going to get a taco and a margarita and up for a late lunch to try and do my super contest. There's a lot of work to be done on Friday, and so I hole up here, yes.
Okay. Hey, by the way, since I told Dale that earlier in the show, he has since requested that he doesn't leave his house on Friday either. So he's taking your leave.
I have to leave every Friday for crying out loud.
He's got to go be the boss somewhere, so he's got to leave the house.
So, Lou, how you doing this week? We got a big early fight here coming up from Abu Dhabi. Last week was in Vancouver. Forget all that. We do get international listeners to the free podcast system out there. So introduce everybody to you, of course, where they can find you, what you do, etc. Just for people that are hearing you for the first time.
Well, my name is Lou Finicaro. I am a profitable sports gamer most of the time. I can't guarantee I win all the time, but I've been doing this for over 40 years, so there has to be some success there. I really try and focus in and specialize, narrowing focus to increase expertise in trying to earn money by betting on certain select sports. I try and specialize. So that's Gamblu.com is my moniker. That's my trademark in my webpage. There's a good look at it right there. And along the top band, you can hit those tabs to discover who I am, what I do, what sports I work, and what's important to me. And one of the most important things to me is the tab on the far right, the San Xavier Del Bac Mission tab, which is the oldest mission in the United States, located here in Arizona, just south of Tucson. They're doing great work, and we are responsible to routing money towards them and drawing attention to their work so that you listeners can consider the same. We're not pitching or asking you to, we're exposing you to the opportunity that there is.
Perfect. Thank you, Lou, as always, and everybody that catches us. I know when they were in Australia, we got a lot of New Zealanders and Australians and people from that part of the world listening to us, and I know we get a lot of people from the Middle East also. So follow Lou, guys, and, of course, find him on all of his VSIN hits as well. And, Dale, what do you got?
I got one question for you, Lou. We got a whole hour so we can get into football and the UFC, and I know that's your bread and butter. I just want to know your feelings when you got up yesterday, like all of us, and the FBI's arresting NBA basketball players and coaches. Shocked? Just your initial feelings, because obviously we still don't know everything that's going on, but your initial feelings.
Yeah, I was driving back from Vegas early morning. I leave at 5 in the morning because on a Wednesday or Thursday morning between the two cities at 5 a.m., there's me and a few truckers. So it's a very easy, beautiful drive, and I had the VSIN on most of the way, listening to it, development by development. My overall take is one that I'm not surprised. If there's anything I'm not surprised at, it's the mob's ability to go and transition from 30s and 40s style theft and graft and avarice and adapt themselves to the modern era of sports gaming, to what we've seen has happened here with these high-tech gambling rings and what's going on with the props market. So there's a lot of moving parts. At the end of the day, the fact is simply this, that this stuff gets brushed under the rug and probably isn't even detected without, if there wasn't legal gaming watching over the irregularities here. And the John Q. public doesn't understand that. They think we're the root And it isn't the root. It's the root of honesty, is because you got big, huge, multi-million-dollar corporations don't want to lose their money. And if you're going to cheat them, you're going to take your hands into the law, and you're above the law. Now you're in the FBI, and that's not a very good situation. So anyone involved, I mean, I got a $500,000, $800,000 a year career, and I'm going to jeopardize it by doing what NFL, MLB, every sport tells these kids not to do it. And yet you got coaches and kids doing it. So it comes back to the one saying, never underestimate the power of greed.
I got one last question about that, because I was always brought up, and even like talking to you, the one thing about sports is the fact that to gamble on it, to be interested in it, you got to believe that the product is real and the results are real. 40 years ago, boxing and horse racing were like the number one things in the United States, and gambling was a big part of that. And then, as you said, you soured on boxing. I don't ever think you were in horse racing, but because it didn't seem like it was a fair competition. Do you see any of that happening? Do you agree with what I said?
Well, you can't disagree with the fact that boxing was ruined from the inside by its own greed. That's what lost me. And now you were segueing a little bit from, gangsters fixing games to, does a big, huge organization like the NFL really want the Chiefs to succeed because of what they can get from Taylor Swift? I think when we're in 2025, if I were to tell you that you should ignore the cause and effect of what gross amounts of money can bring, that would be irresponsible. So I can't say that. And I'm very suspicious of a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, and then I put it all together where the commissioner of the NBA earlier this week said they've asked their gambling partners to stop doing as many player props because that tells me the NBA knew what was happening before the FBA rated them. We, of course, have learned that they did know that since then. But then also over the weekend, I did not see the UFC fights this weekend, but I'm following Twitter, man, and I see Lou on there left and right. And, specifically, you flat out said, I believe, that you said the integrity of the UFC. You were questioning it over the weekend with some of those results out there as well on that side. So, is money the ultimate side of this where it's just affecting all of these leagues from, like you said, from the inside out?
Yes.
I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but you were pretty adamant about it.
Listen, the UFC is owned by an entertainment company. Mm-hmm. They bonus their fighters for massive KOs and they incentivize the finish. That's what sells. That's what they want. That's what they're looking for. High-level wrestlers outside of Dabalishvili, who they hated, but now because he's so popular now they like him all of a sudden because he's gaining interest and eyeballs for him. But really, wrestlers are shoved off to the side, and they're not welcomed as much as that big, huge knockout artist. And so we know what they're tempted with. I've seen this whole thing before. And yes, I'm starting to get to the point now where I see some decisions. A guy stops a fight, calls it a finish 3 seconds before the end of the round. Then he says, oh, no, I'm sorry, round's not over. You got to keep fighting. So these things are creeping in, and I'm really in a lucky position that I can be selective on what I'm going to choose to shoot at, but I'm only going to shoot at something that's fair. And if I smell that it isn't, I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, and that's the issue that you kind of got to pay into. Now, I joke around and tell Dale all the time, like, because I'm going to WWE SmackDown tonight. He's like, that fake stuff. And I'm like, it's not any more fake than the NBA or the NFL with the calls that you see on the field, and I give him a hard time about that stuff,
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, he knows it is.
One's gone with the wind, and the other one still has a semblance of reality to it. I mean, when I see one guy laying on the canvas quivering and another guy standing over him, that ain't days of our lives, bro.
I'm just saying, I might stumble upon a UFC. I'll look for it, the UFC script for this weekend. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying tonight, since they're owned by the same company. No,
Well, if there is a script, there's a few fights that there. I'll tell you where the script is when we get to that.
Okay. I just joke around about that a little bit, but, no refs are on the take. Nobody's paying attention to that stuff. And basketball, I do question. I've always questioned basketball, but there's just too few people, and that can be NFL. You'd have to have so many people to keep secrets and stuff like that. It's incompetence that leads to that.
One thing I've always brought up, Lou, and it never happened to me. I've always said, if you want to fix a football game or influence a football game, you should talk to a long snapper. First of all, going to be one of the lowest paid guys on the team, and you don't even have to make it look that bad for a field goal to be missed. Things like that. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. I want to let this story come out and see exactly what happens and all that. And I know you guys got a lot of UFC stuff
That's
to talk
okay.
to.
You were going to say something, Lou? Do you remember what you're going to say?
I just think it's a fascinating development happening in front of us, and the low hanging fruit is we're going to no more prop betting. Now these big prop betting's going to be okay. It's just how the leagues and everyone's going to deal with it, because the gambling machine's rolling. It ain't going away.
Well, that's for sure. But, we all know these big leagues can lean on their partners, meaning DraftKings, FanDuel. They can lean on them a little bit. It's those other sites, right, that don't have anything with them that obviously doesn't have to listen to them. So
looks to me like the NBA's losing their opportunity to lean right in front of our eyes right now.
Yes. I agree with you on that. So, speaking of UFC, last weekend it was at Vancouver. There was some good fights here as well last week. A couple of these here. You said the Nelson fight here, Kyle Nelson and Matt Frivola. Was it that fight? Yeah, Nelson and Frivola, I think it was. You said that was a must-watch fight in there. But then you were kind of looking at Park and Bruno Silva, and you said that was a watch one for you last week on the show. I don't know if you changed your mind. So I was curious. Park did get submitted there in the third round. You wanted to watch Park in that one. At least you said that last Thursday. Did you get what you wanted to see out of Park?
No. I was considering using him as a parlay piece. I thought he would roll over Silva. He showed me that he's really he's not to the level that Bruno Silva is, and Bruno Silva's a journeyman. And then the other fight, I'm glad you brought that up, Nelson. That was a very good win for me. Last week, I think I just win a few cents or lose a few cents because the DeRitter main event was a setback.
Yeah.
Nelson was he wasn't an underdog. He was like minus 105.
No, remember it switched on Thursday. He was plus 102 on Thursday. I don't know if it changed after that. I didn't
plus
look.
102 or I think by the time I released him, he was minus 105.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it switched on you. Yeah.
It was a winner. That was the good part. But the DeRitter loss showed poorly. I'm happy for Allen, who I don't regard that highly, but he gets jettisoned into the top 5, and DeRitter gets called a quitter, and I don't know if he'll ever be able to shake that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. This negatively affects. It was it was basically a knockout right in the 4th round. Lot of negativity around DeRitter on this. This has to affect his future in the UFC in terms of perception and fights that he gets, right?
We'll see. I mean, I would think guys can't wait to get at him. The other thing is he's like Darren Till, and it's when big, huge guys cut all this weight to make a division that they want to be the bigger bully in, and that's what he's been doing. And he wasn't able to get rid of this guy in a round, run out of gas. Then he quits. Yeah. No, they can't wait to get at him.
Well, I have no doubt other fighters were in too, but he's not going to get another big opportunity is kind of what I was leading.
Well, he's going to have to work his way into it. And over the course of 2, 3, 4 fights, we'll have to see what happens. If he turns it around, then bully for him. But it's going to be hard.
Vera Zahabi, you liked, at least last week, we talked about Vera possibly being somebody to look at with that plus 105 number. Zahabi got that split decision there in the 3rd round. What were your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, we had Zahabi straight. We had Zahabi in the point handicap. Zahabi was a good result for us. And I think we were Thursday last week.
We were Thursday.
And at that point in time, I was afraid of Vera.
Yeah.
But by the time Friday morning came when I do the About Business podcast, I was firmly on Zahabi. And I'm about to do the podcast when I'm done with this transmission here. So those listening around the world are going to get good information once we get to it.
Perfect. And then the last one I wanted to ask you about was Davy Grant here as well. We talked about him. Got submitted in the first round, 3 minutes into the first round there by Charles Jourdain from Canada there. Davy Grant, we talked about him last week as somebody maybe to pay attention to into this fight, but he goes down early here. Your thoughts on Grant after that fight?
Yeah, Steve just puts it so delicately. The bottom line was I was pretty high on Grant. I didn't think
You were.
I was stunned at the price, and I didn't see how Jourdain was going to stay in the fight. So that's a big miss there because Jourdain subs him in one. That was Styles, maybe Jourdain electrified in front of a Canadian crowd. But Grant's not as bad as he looked, and Jourdain's not as good as he showed.
Yeah, but I soften things up. I'm good at doing that. Dale can attest to that when I lose bets or whatever.
I appreciate that, but in my world, it's either black or white. You win it or you lose it. You turn the page and go on.
Lou, just so you know, Steve beat me for the first time all season in college football picks.
Let's throw it up.
And it was thrown up on Twitter, I think, as soon as the last game was over. Look at all his red X's.
He only went two.
Baby.
He only picked 2 games right out of like 7 last week in college. So I had some fun with that,
I'd ride him this week. He's due for a bounce.
I know that's the problem. Well, we picked the same except for 1 game, so I'm hoping he's not too bad from that side. So that was last week. It was an entertaining card from what I understand and what I read. And I saw some highlights on it. But then this week we go, of course, early morning main card here, 11 a.m. Over there in Abu Dhabi. It is a numbered event, so one of the last remaining pay-per-views coming up here this weekend. Aspinall and I just completely forgot who he was fighting. Gane, thank you. Holy cow, it just slipped my mind. But a numbered event means there's a lot of fights here coming up, Abu Dhabi. 11 a.m. main card our time. Gosh, that puts it off at 7 o'clock or so our time with those early there's no early prelims, just the regular prelims.
Left hooks and lattes, Steve. Come on, baby. Get on up and let's get after it.
This might be one I might have to buy because I got nothing going on Saturday morning, so I might have to entertain myself here coming up this weekend. So with this side, going over to Abu Dhabi usually means there's a lot of fighters from that area to prop them up, and do that. I'm assuming that's the same thing here this weekend.
Yeah, we have to be aware of the dogs that we're going to be picking on the card this week as well. We have to be aware of who are the Muslim fighters. That's a Muslim part of the country, PV. That's a Muslim part of the world. And so the Russian fighters, the Egyptian fighters, those from that general region that happen to be Muslim of religious origin will be the ones that the crowd favors. And of that, what do we have? A Russian, Palestinian, Egyptian, an Afghani, and a Kazakhstan. So there's like 6 different local regional guys. One of them not only is a regional fighter, and his name in the undercard is Abdelwahab. He is an Egyptian fighter, and he also is 5 years younger than his opponent, who is Chris Barnett. Mm-hmm. And so when you get a 5-year age difference, it's usually about a 60% advantage. So he gets that. He's fighting in front of home. Barnett's the one that had to travel across the country. And Barnett is a wildly athletic guy, but he weighs 265 pounds. And if he was 2 inches taller, he'd be 5'10". He's just a short little round guy, but he's quick and fast and athletic. And this should be a very interesting fight. But you have to pay a price on Abdelwahab, but there's some interesting stuff there. So big cage. There are 2 women fights on this whole setup. That's unusual. They only had one the last time they were there. Before then, they never had them.
They don't like women showing their skin at all, right? Yep.
Well, I don't know what it is. I'm just reporting that there's two women's fight on this card, and one of them is in the top on the pay-per-view portion, which is interesting. So we have that. We have some age difference. One is a decent one, but for the most part, there's some really compelling fights here. We lost one of them, the Al Sawadi Camillo fight, but other than that, the rest of them are good to go. And in each case, we're going to have some competitive, interesting fights.
Well, since you brought up that women fight, we've seen Verna Jandiroba, on the main card a few times here as well. She's going up against Mackenzie Dern. We've seen her before as well. Here, Dern is the favorite going into this fight. If I remember correctly, Jandiroba, I'm not saying she knocks people out, but she's got some power behind her and can do some damage. Do I remember correctly, or am I just completely about-faced?
No, she's actually
A wrestler?
Still developing her hands. She uses stand-up only to get to the grapple. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and ultra. She's very, very talented. Now 37. She gets to the UFC a little late. She fought Dern in 2020, and Dern won a decision. And so now it's 5 years later, and that 5 years means a lot. Dern was new in the UFC 5 years ago and had just had a kid. And she shows up now against a 32-year-old Jandiroba. Now Jandiroba's 37 and Dern's 32. Dern's dad is a guy named Wellington Diaz. He's one of the most decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialists ever in Brazil, right up there with the Gracie family. Geez, how would I lose track of that?
That's right. Now that you're talking, I remember I had it backwards.
In Wellington Mara. Anyway, when Dern was in diapers, she was a world champion gold medalist in BJJ. And so now they have each had their own career. Dern has refined her striking so that she's apt on the feet with her striking. So she's a little better on the feet than Jandiroba. But both of these girls are going to want to roll and test themselves at their strength. And I can't wait to watch that. It should be competitive and fun. I think it's a close fight, but I do agree that Dern, who has that championship pedigree and now finally gets a chance to get her championship, I think she has too much championship pedigree. She also is the one with 5-round experience and UFC title shot prior to this. Mm-hmm. So her experience, her youth, and her championship I think are going to be tough for Jandiroba to beat. However, on the Jandiroba side, is she's very gritty. She's tough as she can be. And the intangible in these fights sometimes becomes, and I don't know really what to call it, but in one corner you have Dern. And if you look at her in the weigh-ins today, you want to take her on a date or go swimming with her, not fight her. She is a curvaceous, beautiful young gal. And that's over and out. And then you pan over to Jandiroba. Unfortunately, Jandiroba doesn't have the beauty that Dern has. And so when Dern's gifted to one side, and unfortunately for young Miss Jandiroba, she's just got a very unique look, and her eyes are off. And so she doesn't have the beauty that Dern does. And so will she take that into her angst? I've handicapped that before, and I believe it does compel the lesser attractive women in many cases. So I look for a competitive fight, but one that I think Dern has too much championship pedigree for.
Just the whole time you're talking about Jandiroba, I was like, gosh, Lou, I'm sitting right here. You don't need to keep describing me like that. People can see me. Eyes are off. Jeez.
I've not tracked your eyes being off.
And that's the co-main event, by the way, in, like you said, a Muslim area where women just don't get these opportunities. So I think that's a big deal there with that co-main event. I just want to make sure we covered it for the prelims. You obviously brought up, the other fight, the Barnett Abdelwabi fight. Is there any other prelim fights that we should pay attention to before that main card starts?
Yeah, I'm glad you circled back there, Steve. Good job. The first one is Ludovic Klein, Slovakia, against Mateusz Rebecki from Poland. Little Polish beer keg that's half TNT and half nitroglycerin. And he's built like that, and he gets in stand-up fights, but he's a wrestler, and he's short and squat and stocky, and he shouldn't be getting in these stand-up fights because he's getting pieced to the dickens. If he wrestles, he can win. He's in against a guy that has trouble keeping it standing up, but over the course of his career, he's had to improve his takedown ability, and I'm referring to Ludovic Klein. If Klein can keep this fight standing, he's going to paint the fence of Rebecki, and this is going to be a great stylistic fight. The one that I do think Klein will have a little advantage in. Then you go to Delgado and Nathaniel Wood. This is a featherweight fight. Wood has the UFC experience. He's a veteran fighter. He's been in the cage with better. Great wrestling game. Comes from England, shows up for this fight against a young up-and-coming Delgado who fights out of the MMA lab here in Phoenix, Arizona. Delgado missed weight by a pound today, which is a little concerning, but not surprising. This is his first trip out of the country. He's a big step up for him, and the travel and everything else looped him out, and he missed the pound. When we saw the weigh-ins today, he was looking a little down in the dumps, chagrined because he's a pro and they don't like missing, but he tried to make. He didn't make it. He's going to get docked some of his pay, but at the end of the day, they got to go in there and fight. And he's the much larger man. He's got 5 inches of height, 5 years younger, and he has a 5-inch reach advantage, and he can wrestle and strike. Delgado is in a really good position here, despite the fact he missed weight.
And he's at a minus 148 right now as well in that fight.
Small favorite.
Yep. Over under on that fight is 2.5, and both over and under at the minus 115 here. Somebody have submitting or knockout power here in this fight? Is that what that's telling us?
Delgado finished a guy last fight, never been finished him in the first round. Delgado's special. And I think that's what the line is indicating.
Okay, perfect. Any other prelims before we get up into that main card?
No, those two pretty much cover it. Other than that, Haqparast and Saul killed. You got an Afghani fighter against an Aussie. And so you might have some crowd and maybe a little home cooking with Haqparast, who is the Afghani or the Muslim fighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, by the way, is
going to be a really close fight.
That's basically a pick 'em right there as well. Minus 105. For the Haqparast, and then Sal Kilo, is minus 115 right now. So yeah, they're calling that one a close one there, as the last card there. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think maybe Haqparast via decision is the way to go there. You'll get a nice plus price there.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. By the way, over on that is 2.5, minus 245 to the over. So decision.
They're telling you it's going to decision, and it's going to be tight.
Absolutely. So on the main card here, you got Rakic and Mirzkanov to start off the night. Another pick'em fight here as well. So another good one to not miss.
So we started with the girls from the main card because that's the co-main event. There's 4 other fights. One is a bantamweight, and the other one are light heavyweight or heavyweight fights. So we get all of the big boys on the pay-per-view portion of this card, and this is going to be good. Now, Rakic is an Austrian, long, tall, looks the part. Every time he fights a top 7 or 8 guy, he can't seem to get through. He beats everybody else. Right there at about 7 or 8 is Umar Mirzakirnov. Mirzakirnov, a short, stocky Russian, can wrestle, a lot of power. And when they stand next to each other, you wonder how Mirzakirnov is a pick'em in the fight. But he's explosive, got power and wrestling. This should be a really, really excellent fight. I go back and forth on a little bit. I like Rakic because he's 5 years younger, but I like everything else about Mirzakirnov. So it's a pass for me, but it's not a pass in watching because I don't want to miss it.
Now, light heavyweight, so these guys have some power to them, usually, right? Over-under on this one's 2.5. It's minus 125 to the over. It's minus 105 to the under here in this fight as well. So, it sounds like it's going to be a battle here between these two guys.
One that I don't think we want to miss, and I would my tendency is to think one guy might stop the other by the time they get to that third round and exchange some damage.
Then you got Alexander Volkov and Jalen Almeida here coming up. Almeida is a big favorite here coming into this fight. Well, it's come down. It looks like, at least according to what I see, he's a minus 162 favorite right now. Almeida is.
Yeah, he opened minus 250. So Almeida is an ex-light heavyweight that no one would fight. And so he's like, well, I got to fight, so I'll move up to heavyweight. And over the course of 3 or 4 fights, he went from 225 to 240 to 246. And today he weighs in at, 244, it looks like.
You know what I call that, Lou? I call that Thursday for me.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. Well, he did it over the course of time with muscle. He's a ED. Stop. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. A pub steak precedent.
He did it over time. He did it the right way. The dude is a freakish wrestling Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist. He's unbelievably explosive, quick on his feet, adroit, powerful man, sculpted out of rock, but he's not very good with his stand-up. That's where he's still developing. Meanwhile, you go to Volkov, who fought Gane, who we'll talk about in the main event, in his last fight, and arguably 19 of the 20 people from the press scoring the fight scored it for Volkov. Volkov got robbed in that fight. Anyway, Volkov is this big, long 6'7" Russian, and he's been in with better. He's fought for the championship. The dude is world class on the ground and standing up. And in this fight, physically, he's going to be 4 inches the taller man. They're about the same age. He's going to have a slight reach advantage, but it'll be magnified by his leverage, by how tall he is. Almeida's got to get in. Volkov can't let him in. Volkov's grappling is world class, and so it's not like he can't survive on the ground, but he doesn't want to be there. And he's so large, I think he's going to be able to keep it up. And should he keep Jailton on the outside of his punches, he's going to mark Jailton up and welcome him appropriately to the heavyweight division. I believe that's what's going to happen. I like Volkov in this fight a good deal.
Yeah, over under on this one's only the 1.5, but it is minus 130 to the over right here at this point here. So not a knockout by Volkov, but you think it's going pretty far?
I don't know why Volkov couldn't knock him out.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. On an early side, well, just the way you were describing it, I wasn't sure if it would be an early one.
Hey, listen, I'm betting Volkov. After that,
it doesn't matter. We've seen Mario Batista before. I recognize him out there, and he's fighting Umar is all I'm going to call him. Umar with a lot of vowels in his last name. Well, first of all, pronounce Umar's last name because he's a large favorite here, 625 favorite here coming into this fight.
Nurmagomedov. He is the cousin to Khabib Nurmagomedov, the ex-great, and that's who trains him. He recently fought Merab Dvalishvili. Dvalishvili toyed with him and beat him because Nurmagomedov ran out of gas. It was his first championship attempt. And so now that camp has been blistering him and training and preparing him for this fight. And he gets the number 8 ranked bantamweight in Mario Bautista, who is one of the most underrated, overlooked fighters on the roster. He's not loud and vocal. He's quiet and very workmanlike, but he fights out of the lab in Phoenix. He trains with killers. He's been training with much bigger, stronger guys, preparing him for the wrestling that he's going to see. And he's a big, strong guy. He's the taller, larger man in this fight. He opened it like Bautista plus 260. Now you can get him at 400 or so. This price
455. Yeah.
This price is stupid, and so there are a number of ways I'm attacking Bautista on this fight, but I am using him. I think he can win the fight, and I think he might even be able to finish Nurmagomedov, because if it does stay up and Nurmagomedov gets a little desperate to get in on the takedown, he could eat a knee or a counter shot on his way in. I know from Volkov that I'm going to get the absolute best effort that dude's ever put out. And I feel the exact same way from Mario Bautista. we're going to get his best effort, and that's enough for me, especially at this price.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a big change there from 200s up to the high 400s for him coming to that. And then that leaves us with the main event here. Tom Aspinall against I'm never
Cyril Gane.
you could tell you who I'm looking at in this fight, obviously, because I can't remember who his opponent is. What disrespect I have for him there as well. It's Cyril, right? Is that who I'm thinking of? I don't know why my brain's not working.
Cyril Gane. He's a Frenchman. And what's great about this is France versus England. So you got to love it. Now, this is Gane's third try at the championship. He's been overwhelmed on the others. But let me just explain to you how this thing's going. Gane is a kickboxer that is trying rapidly to learn how to keep fights standing and deal with wrestling. And on the other side, you got Aspinall, who's world-class everywhere. Probably the prototypical 2025 modern era heavyweight mixed martial artist. Fast, adroit, nimble, stupid power. He can submit you, snap your shoulder, break your leg. I mean, the dude is terrible. And so when John Jones was active, they gave him an opportunity to move to heavyweight. Remember, John Jones ain't a heavyweight. Mm-hmm. He's the light heavyweight goat of all goats. But he took a heavyweight fight. Why? Because he could fight Gane, because Gane can't spell takedown, okay? And you don't learn wrestling overnight. So now Gane goes in, he's going to have to fight Aspinall. Gane's been working on it. He knows what's coming. And none of Aspinall's fights even make the second round. If he touches you, you go down. If he tackles you, he snaps your arm. John Jones sidestepped Aspinall. Why? Because Aspinall's a full-grown heavyweight man. And John Jones ain't. And he's 39. No way Jones was ever fighting Aspinall. Aspinall watched Jones dominate Gane. The over-under in this fight's 1.5. Mm-hmm. How long is it going to take Aspinall to ground Gane and finish this fight? That's the only question in this fight. There are some people that believe Gane can make this thing last into third and fourth round. Boy, I hope that's the case, because I want to see Gane succeed. I want to see Aspinall tested, but I don't think that's what we're going to see in this fight. The best matchup against Aspinall, I think, is Jailton Almeida, and I don't think he's going to get by Volkov.
Yeah, I mean, the over-under right now, as you said, is 1.5, minus 110 to the over, minus 120 to the under right there as well. So it's just pick which way you think it's going to go and then go from there, I guess, here on this main event, right?
Yeah, I don't have a thought on when. Yeah. It's just, why would you play with your food? Why would I go and fight a guy at his best skill, even though that could be my best skill? Yeah. Why would I give him a par level when I can compete with him where he's not on par?
Yeah, so big fight this weekend, Abu Dhabi. So 11 a.m. main card, numbered event, which means I think this is one of 2 pay-per-views left here before we switch to Paramount, and those kind of go away. So I'm getting excited about that coming up. But let's take a quick break, a little 1.5-minute break, come back, and I don't know, maybe Dale will say something when we start talking NFL here.
Yeah, really.
I know my limits.
Come on back, folks. It's the main event with Uncle Lou. And we're back here. Main event, usually on Fridays. He doesn't join us, usually on Thursdays, but this week, Uncle Lou joins us on Fridays as well. So we'll get this out like we always do, on the YouTube channel. Free YouTube channel is an interview side if people just want to see that. Of course, it's on the regular show as well, and then we put it out separately in the podcast systems. So we appreciate everybody joining us. And usually, Lou, when you join us on Thursdays, we talk a little bit about the Thursday night game there. I liked the Chargers last night. Me and Dale both did. I liked the under last night. I did not factor in how bad the Vikings defense was going to be last night because the Chargers almost hit that point at that point. So that's how this Week 8 starts. There's a bunch of teams on bye, 6, I think, right? 4 of them are over 500 on their schedules. And there's some weak matchups this week coming up, Lou. And you always say, when people look at you weird when you bring it up, that's where you want to put your bet. You have a lot of opportunities for that this week.
That is the understatement of the world. Way to go, Steve, because you're dead right. There are some really ugly porch sitters on this card, let me tell you.
You always phrase it so much better than I do.
He does.
Well, no Cardinals to talk this week out there. Your Bears. Your Bears have won 4 in a row. They're going up against a decimated Ravens with a terrible defense. Let's just start off with that, Lou. Your Bears, and I say your Bears because you grew up and you're a Bears fan when you're a kid. You knew the family, etc. But your Bears, so they keep this win streak running this weekend against the Ravens.
Okay, so let's understand. There's 10, 12 games here. You're going to get 1 or 2 good, strong positions from me and a lot of dancing around. Because the good news is the man has to put a line and a total on every game, but I don't have to make my reputation on every one. So I shoot with a rifle at 1 or 2. So though we're going to talk about every game, don't think because I say that Baltimore is going to completely vomit all over and run Chicago out of the park, that you go bet it that way.
Yes.
But that's what I think, especially if Lamar's back. Even if Lamar isn't back, welcome to the Chicago Bears. Now, I think things are happening for the Bears. I think I like that coach. But what I also think is that by the end of the year, the coach is going to get rid of this quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've been saying that all year long. I just started with that one because a lot of people are hyping up the Bears. I imagine, I'll put it this way. Ravens are 6.5-point favorites right now. What I'm curious on, because Lamar started practicing this week, we don't know exactly who's going to play. I'm assuming that line has moved toward the Ravens as Lamar has started practicing this week.
Not at all. The
Really?
look ahead was 6.5.
Really?
It's still 6.5.
Really?
So,
Even
I think there's a lot of wait and see. I think they're waiting on Lamar, to be quite honest.
What gives you curiosity? What gives you any hope or thought that Baltimore can beat Chicago? Of what you've seen with your own eyes.
It has nothing to do with what I've seen from Baltimore or Chicago. It has to do with what I've seen in Week 7 of the NFL.
Okay.
When the world on San Diego and Indianapolis goes and boat races them.
Right.
So it's simply the everybody theory. The elixir for the Houston offense was the Baltimore defense. So on paper, you'd like to think Chicago going to march all over that Baltimore 26th by DVOA defense. Baltimore comes in off of the bye. And I just think I think there's something left for them. And while there's belief in Chicago, it's not my belief. And so it's just an opinion. Okay. It's not based on any money.
Okay.
Yep. And then you've got, this is an interesting one to me because I double checked this 7 times. I said earlier, the Panthers are 4-3 on the season. Now they haven't been spectacular by any stretch. But obviously 4-3 is a record. It surprises me that the Panthers are. And they got the Bills on coming into this game as well. Bills have a couple bad losses on their schedule, a couple comeback losses. Their Panthers are an up-and-coming team here. What I'm curious on are people – now it's the Bills. I understand that, so maybe not. But are people starting to look at the Panthers in the gambling world coming into these types of games?
No, they've been on the Panthers, riding them
Yeah.
to this 3-3. Now's when the public gets on them, and it's usually triggered by being too late, and that could be what they are.
Yeah.
Carolina, Buffalo. Buffalo comes in off the bye with all kinds of defensive woes, and actually Carolina sets up decent on defense. But here's what's going to happen in this game: Buffalo's going to come in, and their 10th ranked pass offense, which is all they really have. They got Allen and then a bunch of ghosts with a running back. And they're going to attack Carolina's 23rd ranked pass defense. And if they get a lead early, it's going to pressure Carolina and make them predictable and allow for an inept Buffalo defense to try and stay in the game. Meanwhile, Carolina, if the coin flip goes their way, make little mistake, they're taking the ball. Why? Because their seventh ranked rushing offense is going up against not the 30th or the 31st rush defense, but the 32nd in Buffalo.
Wow.
When I see a team that's got the 31st or 32nd ranked rush D, that's a team with no huevos. That's a team with no belly, no guts, no nothing. And so Carolina, if they get the ball, they're going to jam it down Buffalo's throat, try and get a lead, and then they're going to put the pressure on Buffalo. I like Carolina a little in this spot. If you're going to give me all those points, I'm going to make Buffalo show me something. Also, we know that I ain't a big Buffalo fan this year anyway.
Yes.
So I'm going to make them prove it to me on the road against a team that's starting to believe in themselves.
That's the first time I heard that Italian come out in Lou. What is it? No way. I like that.
Well, that's my Hispaniola.
So I'm going to defer to you here, obviously. The one game I want to talk about, there's a couple of them here. Cowboys-Broncos this weekend. So I guess there's two more I'm going to talk about. Then I'll kind of leave it to you. Cowboys-Broncos, going to Broncos. Broncos came back, scored, a cajillion points there in the fourth quarter. 30-something points to beat the Giants last week. Their offense, in my opinion, is atrocious, but they've gotten the job done to a 5-2 record. Cowboys defense can't stop anything, but their offense can put up points from that side here coming into this game this weekend. This is an intriguing one, but Broncos are 3.5-point favorites coming into this game. Over under 50.5. Lou, kind of lead us what we should be looking at here.
Yeah, great game, and I think we have to talk about it. Denver 2-4-1 against the spread, really kind of underassuming. However, we got to realize they got the 8th-ranked DVOA defense. Dallas, 6th on offense. They're rushing decent, 8th passing. I think those have a tendency to neutralize one another. Quite honestly, I think Denver's defense in the altitude is going to be ready for this Dallas onslaught. The mismatch occurs when you get a decent Denver offense that's kind of underachieved this year. Receivers are still good. The running backs are fine. The kid that they got from the Chargers, Dobbins, is 5th, 6th rushing in the league. But the quarterback mix is having a little bit of a sophomore thing. Mm-hmm. I have no problem believing that he's going to eventually come out of that. I love the coach. I like the team. I like what they did last year. I like them this week against the Cowboys. And I'll say this, I think they're in a perfect buy low spot for AFC futures right now because everybody's looking at the teams. Oh, it's Kansas City. Well, sure, Kansas City looks good right now. But look, what are these teams going to look like in 7 weeks? And I got Denver as going this way, everybody. And I'm not shy to say it. I said it in the panel up in Las Vegas. I'm very bullish on Denver. Now, after getting done saying all that, I've used Denver as the second half of a handful of teasers this week, 7 point. So I went from giving 3.5 points to the Cowboys. Now I'm getting 3.5 points with the Cowboys, and that's how I'm approaching that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that game, the other big game, Packers-Steelers this weekend. Well, the 4-1-1 Packers against Aaron Rodgers playing his old team. Now it's in Pittsburgh. 4-2. This is a Sunday Night Football matchup. I've heard Aaron Rodgers talk this week about how he's going to retire a Packer, talked about his time there in Packerland. He sounds like a man that's getting ready to retire here after this season. And then Jordan Love and the Packers coming off of a tougher game against Arizona last week. Micah Parsons, I'm assuming, isn't going to be single teamed going into this game against the Steelers here this weekend. And this is going to be a good Sunday night matchup here. Right now, Packers are 3-point favorites on the road in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like the Pack. Took a money line and took a money line parlay with Atlanta. Atlanta on the money line, Packers on the money line. The Atlanta should be the easier leg, minus 400 at home on a fast track against Tom, Dick, and Harry, for crying out loud.
The Dolphins.
That goes into the Green Bay game where I don't have to give points. But this isn't the typical Pittsburgh team that we all think. There's no defense here. In fact, what doesn't belong? 9th ranked Green Bay offense, 6th ranked Green Bay defense, 10th ranked Pittsburgh offense, 21st ranked Pittsburgh defense, and they stopped the run 24th. Pittsburgh's got defensive problems. Green Bay's going to control the ball. We're going to see the young man, Jacobs, the running back. He's going to be the star of the game because Green Bay is going to keep the ball, score first, and keep Rodgers off the field. I like Green Bay here. That said, I sound real confident, but I also took Green Bay on the money line because I don't like giving points, especially away.
It's
interesting. Pittsburgh's off a 10-day layoff from a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, you usually hear Baltimore, Pittsburgh, first thing you think about is defense. And this year, everything's been turned completely upside down for both those teams.
Yeah, and I wonder why those teams would do that. I get exasperated at Steve when he second guesses coaches all the time. Well, I do. We all do it. How does Houston go into this season with that offensive line? It's killed their season.
Yeah.
How does Pittsburgh allow this kind of a defense? They just got rid of Pickens. You'd think, no, they bring in another diva wide receiver that's got a year left anyway. So there's questions everywhere you look. But make no mistake about it, as we see these teams spending more time with their offense, it's because that's what the league's turning to. This is going to be 7-on-7 eventually, and you got to have your skill people, and you're going to spend your money over there. In my opinion, without question, the top athlete in the history of humankind, the top 0.00%, the best athlete is today's NFL cornerback. They can't touch these athletes that are wide receivers. They're standing there within a foot of them at all times. Today's NFL cornerback, the greatest athlete God ever made.
That's hard. That's hard to argue because, it seems like every year they add another rule on defense to make it easier to score points.
That's where it's going. This is like their NFL's already into pro flag football. Yeah. The writing's on the wall. Uncle Lou you take the under with Uncle Lou in the NFL.
Well, the thing is, and we were talking about I talked about this with some buddies earlier this week. The fact that I know you're the 1%. You would love to probably see a 1-0 pitcher's duel in baseball. You'd like to see a 9-7 defensive battle in football. But the other 95% of people, they want to see scoring. And what's the other? They're not catering to the Lou's, the Dales, and the Steves of the world. They're catering to the 95%. Yep.
Money.
Yep.
You go where the money is, and so you're going to give them what you want to make more money. I know I'm not going to stop at the rocks rolling down the hill. And here's little Lou the ant going to stand in front of it now. I'm just going to get out of the way.
We got last one for me. We got a couple games here. The Colts-Titans game. That's a 14.5 favorite to the Colts right now. Commanders-Chiefs, Monday Night Football. Jalen is probably out. Daniels for the Commanders. That's a 12.5 point spread on that. Anything you like to run the other way? Those are large point spreads in the NFL side of things. What are your thoughts on those large point spreads?
My thoughts are you see the movie where the two lovers are on the beach and they're running to each other like this because they can't wait to embrace. I can't wait to take the Washington in 12, and I'm going to take the Titans but I'm going to wait till the Titans gets up to, what is it? It's 15.5 already.
At 14.5,
right?
I think on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, no, listen, we don't just shop one place. You
Yes,
shop
I know.
everywhere.
Oh, no, I'm just telling
So
everybody. Yeah,
you're right. They're 14.5 everywhere with pressure on it, minus 15.
That's what I
Circa
saw.
has minus 15.5. This is one where I'm going to be patient and wait and see how high it goes. But 15.5 or 14.5 is good enough for me. Division hatred. Again, this is the one you go into the water cooler with and say, hey guys, I think Tennessee's got a good shot this week. They'll laugh you out of the room. And you got to have some huevos to do it. But I'm going to do it.
Well, you mean take them? You don't expect them. You're not saying they're going to win. You're saying just take them with the giant point spread.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, I got one question for you. We're about halfway through the season. Is Indianapolis the most surprising team this year in the league to you? Are you gonna tell me you saw back in August Danny Dimes morphing from Danny Dimes with the Giants to Peyton Manning with the Colts?
I was of all the teams, Indy was one that I was really undecided on, but it didn't have to do with quarterback or anything of the things that. Listen, here's what's happened in Indy: the quarterback needed the right coach. Coach needed the right quarterback. They got it. Oh, what does the coach have? Best offensive line in football, top running back in the NFL, really good receivers, and a defense I didn't see. And so in the offseason, I didn't see all that. No, what I saw was, how's this team, who I believe is pretty solid, going to respond to the loss of the owner? Well, looks to me like they're responding pretty well. I'm surely a believer. They have a solid offensive line. They got horses. I mean, is Indy, number one offense, first rushing, second passing, defense, 18th against the rush, 12th against the pass. They're balanced. They believe they got a good quarterback with a coach that seems to have symmetry with him.
Yep.
I'm all about them. And all they got to do in this division hatred game is win 9-7, and they put W on the schedule. It ain't going to be I don't think it's going to be the blowout we're expecting.
If you want to enjoy your Sunday afternoon, you could just put the Colts game on and just watch their left guard. Just watch their left guard. He's the closest thing to Larry Allen that I've ever seen.
I just can't remember his name right now.
Nelson.
Wait. Is that true? He's the closest thing to Larry Allen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he kills people. Do
you know what kind of a compliment?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you watch him a little bit,
Larry Allen's Deacon Jones era.
Yeah.
I mean, not era, but Deacon Jones air.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only a couple of those.
No, Quentin Nelson is he's not Larry Allen, but he's the closest thing I've seen.
Oh, he road grades people.
And every week Indianapolis just keeps believing more and more. Somebody going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I don't think Jacksonville is the team I thought they were. And coming into this season, they might be a tier down team from what I thought they were. But they have the bye week this week, so we'll have to see. Lou, appreciate you coming in on the Friday with us. Next week, just as a programming note, you're going to join us next Friday as well, because might not be here unless something's changed.
Great, but when you need Friday works good. When you need me, I'm here.
Yeah, I'll confirm it with you. I got a little house thing I told everybody about. I might be doing a show from jail, so that's what we're gonna do. I told everybody if I'm in jail, the listeners said do a jail show. So we'll see what happens.
I hope you're not.
No, I won't be. That's the only reason I'm joking about it is because there's no chance that's going to happen. But Lou, I appreciate it.
I'll send Dale down to give you best wishes.
We'll see you next week, and we'll confirm all that when I get the confirmation on that early part of next week. But have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Oh, really quick. Robert says, can't wait for Uncle Lou's SmackDown picks. Who do you got tonight, Lou? And also, tips on remodeling. What are your remodeling tips you got for everybody? Because I think everybody's enjoying them.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
Just don't do it. And oh, by the way, Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, I was going to ask you about the World Series. Yeah, you all right, I picked the Blue Jays too.
I took Tom Aspinall, and I parlayed him to the series for Toronto at plus 180, and that turns that plus 180 into plus 261.
Ooh.
So we get Aspinall in. Now I got an enhanced price on Toronto, and I hope Toronto wins the World Series. But I'm not a big Dodger fan.
Robert also says unique look. That's how you describe the that one fighter there in the UFC. He goes, Gambler was such a nice dude.
Well, I mean, we're in a public arena, and I'm not Prince Charming myself. Who am I to say we're all the same in the eyes of the big boy.
Yeah.
So who am I to say who's pretty and who's not? I tried to be as gentle as
You
possible.
danced around it like a good Omaha kid.
Thank you very much.
Lou, we'll see you later. Go do your About Business podcast for those that get that and invest with you. It's coming up here shortly. From that, enjoy your UFC weekend, and we'll see you next week, Lou.
Thanks, guys. Have a great
All right, have a great one. For everybody else, Braxton wanted to know and couldn't wait to hear his views on those gambling rates and everything, so brought that up at the beginning as well. Braxton texted that in yesterday, actually, from that side. And, I mean, this is the thing that people don't understand. People that are on the up and up in the gambling world hate cheaters. Hate them because it affects their view, how people view them. It affects the integrity of it and that stuff. And Lou's definitely one of those guys. And that's why the books and everybody will turn you in if they see that stuff happening out there. So, Dale, you got a big weekend?
Actually, very slow. Got a big football game tonight. Brophy at Liberty.
That's what I was going to say. You're at a big one.
Hopefully, it's a good game. Brophy's showing they can play with anybody. They can also lose to
Up
anybody.
and down, yeah, but you're gonna hobnob there with Fitz over there. You're gonna congratulate him for being advanced to the 52 member Hall of Fame now. He advanced to that level.
I think that he doesn't have to worry until the finals.
That's what I was saying yesterday. He's better be a finalist. In terms of wide receivers, I said this yesterday. He better be the one wide receiver that makes it to the final if nobody else does for him. But go hobnob with those guys. Van Bosch,
there's a lot of big names on that Brophy team.
Dale's gonna be like, I gotta go work, guys. Leave me alone, guys. I gotta go work over here. That's gonna be a fantastic game there. Of course, SCA playing over there in the Avenues. Arizona Lutheran Academy.
Yep.
See how that goes. SCA will get a bye regardless. ALA's kind of on that cusp a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that game. I'll be over at SmackDown. Anybody going to that? Let me know. Reach out to me. Love to see you. Run into you.
No, you don't.
There at the Mullet.
You don't like people, Steve.
You gotta dance around with me and stuff when guys come out.
All right,
and everything. And we got to send pictures to Dale and videos to Dale all the time during the event while he's doing his football game.
Steve's dancing.
Queen Creek's at Desert Vista tonight for their homecoming. Desert Ridge has Highland at home last night as well, just for the teams that we follow. And everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. McCollum on Business coming up. Pit Stop, Look Ahead show. This time next week, we'll be talking about a championship 4 here in Phoenix for NASCAR. Championship week next week, Dale. Go to NASCAR with me next weekend?
Goodbye.
See you Monday, everybody.